Hey, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer, and this is Best of Us Investors. We have a YouTube channel, we have a Discord. We're a group of people who have come together to understand the investment markets better and position ourselves not only to make more money, but to keep more of what we make and then to create wealth. The ultimate objective is to create wealth. And as an ex-financial advisor, I have a lot of insight to that because I did that for a number of years. And now I want to share it with you. I did a video yesterday, and it was entitled How to Build Wealth, Real Estate versus the Stock Market. And that was part one. This is part two. My assistant, Jack, suggested that in that first video, I talked a lot about real estate and not a lot about stocks. I've always, in my mind, in my life, looked to the stock market to create wealth. I've come to understand it, and I think I understand it better than most, but I kind of ignored real estate. And I've changed. So watch yesterday's video and get my insights as to how you can use real estate to create wealth. Now, I think the other thing that I wanted to share with you is the stock market's all about connecting dots. This is, and let me illustrate that to you. This is Shades Creek. Shades Creek starts about 3 miles up there, and right near where Hampton Gates is, in fact, that where I'm building homes. In fact, it runs through Hampton Gates. If I got on here with a canoe, and if I could, that would take me to the Cahaba River. The Cahaba River would then take me to the Alabama River. The Alabama River would then take me all the way down to Mobile, and I'd empty into the Gulf of Mexico. Right around the bend, I could paddle my canoe and end up in New Orleans, or I could set it out to sea and eventually get to the Caribbean and then the Atlantic and then go down around South America, and I could paddle my canoe to Japan if I wanted to. I probably won't. But it's all about connecting the dots, recognizing that this little body of water here could connect me to the rest of the world. And I think that's kind of what investing in the stock market is about, looking at what's happening and what's available and what's going to happen next. I would ask you to consider if somebody had written some books that gave you a view into what the Industrial Revolution was going to do, how you might invest, or shortly after Henry Ford created the assembly line for the automobiles, if somebody had written some books to tell you how that was going to affect the world, you could have pretty much figured out how to invest. You would invest in General Motors and Ford and Exxon, and because you could see where it was going. And then you wouldn't have to have fooled around with trying to figure out what the next Ford was going to be or what the next Exxon was going to be. And so today I would ask you, bringing it up to a more current time, if in the early 90s somebody had shared with you a book and it explained to you the effects of the internet, and then later, and maybe later in the 90s, they'd have given you a book to share with you the effects of social media. Do you think you might have been able to spot Facebook, or do you think you might have been able to figure out what YouTube was going to do for Google? Do you think that maybe you could have ridden that wave up through the 90s through the 2000s and to today and been in a position? Do you think you might have spotted Amazon at what, $10 a share, and now it's at $3,000? Do you think if you had read the right books and listened to the right information that you might have been able to connect those dots, just like connect this river to China? I mean, that's bizarre, but that's what it's all about. It's just about connecting the dots and seeing how different things relate to each other. So when I think of a stock market, I think it's pretty damn simple. I really do. I mean, we know that oil drove the past generation. But we also know that we're trying to get rid of oil. Hell, Joe Biden just stuck his foot in his mouth at the last debate saying, yeah, we want to stop fracking. We want to stop the oil industry. And that wasn't the right thing to say, Joe. So my statement to you is, and I've talked to you about this before, you need to read this book, The Big Nine. It talks about how the tech titans and their thinking machines could wrap humanity. And it basically tells you that artificial intelligence and big data is the driving force. And now some of it speaks of 9 companies: IBM, Alibaba, Microsoft, Tencent, Apple, Baidu, Facebook, Amazon, and Google. And she has a strong argument that these are the companies that are going to change your world for what it's going to be in the future. And you might say to me, yeah, but the government's going to break them up. Okay. Have you read anything about China trying to break up Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu? Have you read anything about that? Or what's that chip company that we're so scared of? Have you read anything about that? No. But have you read that China is kicking our butt as far as 5G? Because these people are working together to make it happen with the help of the government. Well, that's what's got to happen here. So don't worry about them breaking them up. That's what's going to happen. Then I want you to read this book. This is a window into tomorrow's world. This is the dots that's going to connect this river to China, to Japan, to the Bahamas, to anywhere you want to go. That's what big data, that's what tech is going to do. The future is faster than you think. How converging technology are transforming business, industry, and our lives. Yeah, it's that simple. There are those big 6. I'm not too excited about IBM. I don't think they have an identity yet, or they have recaptured an identity. I would put Tesla in there in place of IBM, but that's what you need to invest in. Yeah, okay, you want to get rich faster. Well, I don't know how much faster. I mean, any of these 6, if you had gotten in on them 20 years ago, you'd have been a gazillionaire. But they're going to continue to grow because they control the gold and the oil of the past. They control data. It's not that difficult. Now, I know you want to buy a penny stock and have it turn into a $10 stock and just elate. And you expect to find the answer to that here at YouTube. Come on, look at who you're listening to. They're a bunch of millennials who have never experienced a crash. They have never experienced the subprime crisis. They have never experienced the dot-com bubble. They never experienced the Depression. They don't know what's about to happen. Now, does that mean you get out of the big 6? No, they're going to survive it, but there are some that aren't. It just go back and study the dot-com bubble, study the subprime crisis. It all is going to start and happen through banking. It always does. It's lending too much money to at too high a risk level. And that means companies as well as people, as well as countries. And then there is a flea for safety. And that safety is going to be found here. It's not that difficult. So I went to 50% cash because I think there's going to be an opportunity for me to bump up my return. Hell, I'm only at about a 50% return thus far in 2020, and in 2019 I went to cash in July after I was up 40%. So you don't have to put money at risk. You put it at good sense. But damn it, you got to put in the work. You got to study. If if all of this is available to you, and if you want to understand how the world really works, you read this one, The Accidental Superpower, and it explains to you how the United States came to be the power as it is after World War II. And there will be a new power if not the United States, someone else after the pandemic. We can't allow that to happen. Just like after World War II, they sat down in Bretton Woods and said, we can't allow that to happen again. We got to organize this global community to make sure that our economies never shut down again. This has to happen. So, yeah, I'm not going. I'll help you. I'm still looking for the right gold stock, the right gold miner, the right gold producer, because I need that to be a part of my portfolio. But the bulk of my portfolio needs to be in the big six and real estate, because what real estate offers me that the stock market doesn't is leverage with control. The stock market, I can borrow and buy stocks on margin, but I'm at somebody else's mercy. I don't control that. I can control the real estate investments I have. I cannot control the stock market, so I will not put myself in that kind of jeopardy. But I have learned recently that I can leverage real estate. I can use my credit, and I can let someone else pay the bill on my mortgage through a rental property and build wealth. It should be one of the arrows in your investment portfolio. But again, the stock market is simple. It's invest in the companies that are going to change the way you live. Workhorse isn't going to change the way you live. It may change the way that your mail is delivered in the future. Eastman Kodak's not going to change. Even a vaccine might change the way you live for a short period of time, but then it's over. It's going to be the people who monitor your health and then send your health update to your phone. And then you use that to make good decisions relative to your health. It's going to be the people who are going to set up the videos so that you can study and learn a trade that is then viable. And that's Google. That's Apple. These are the people who are going to change the way we're going to live. And we are at a pivot point equivalent to 1945 when we came out of the World War II. And change is going to come like a truck down the road, and it's not going to be a Nikola truck. Might be a Tesla truck. I don't know. So that's my take on part 2 of how to build wealth through the stock market and through real estate. If this is what you'd like to learn more about and the videos you'd like to see, subscribe to Best of Us Investors. Once you subscribe, I'll have your email. I'll send you a morning letter. In that morning letter, I'll give you a connection to our Discord. And in our Discord, we as a tribe come together and we discuss and we teach each other and we learn as a tribe. So that's Best of Us Investors. And that's my take on how to build wealth in the stock market. And I'll keep you up to date on the big six and anybody else who moves into that category. Or I like to also take advantage of opportunities. When the market crashed, I went in and bought oil. I don't own it anymore. I went in and bought American Express. I don't own it anymore. I went in and I bought McDonald's. I don't own it anymore because I'm an opportunist. But when it comes down to it, I'm a long-term investor. I'm interested in making good investment decisions. I'm interested in understanding the tax plans that are the tax rules that I have to work under. And I'm interested in passing on my wealth to my heirs.